Okay, so in my annotated bibliography, I tailored my final draft to be more effective by improving the readability as well as making it a lot more cohesive and fluid. I wouldn't say that my rhetorical choices changed a lot after peer review, only because I put a lot of thought into the types of sources that I wanted to use. I wanted to have my sources apply to logos, pathos, and ethos. So I put in a study that would apply to, logic, and had different sources and different studies all come together to be super logical. And then my TED Talk was more emotional and discussed personal experiences and anecdotes. And then I wanted to connect another one to pathos to evoke sympathy. So I included the history and sort of the generational reasons for why Black women may act this way, and hoping that those personal stories would connect to people and evoke some sort of sympathy. And then in the past, I've definitely had a problem with making my ideas really complex and confusing. And they make perfect sense to me, but they don't make sense to other people. And if I'm gonna have a larger audience, I obviously need to have ideas that make sense. So in terms of my personal goals for this course, which was of course to improve communication, because you can always improve communication, I had to make my paper easier to understand. So going from my rough draft to my final draft, I definitely changed some of the sentence structure, put in different word choices to make it easier for people to understand, because I write it as if everyone read the same studies that I read and have the background knowledge about it, but I realized I have to make this be able for anyone to read. Even a kindergartner should be able to read and understand my study. And then I think the biggest challenges I had in this study was definitely getting across my ideas and finding sources that weren't too similar but all had the same main idea. I was also trying to use different rhetorical devices, which I mentioned, but yeah, I was definitely trying to find sources that all said different things, and I think I did a good job finding good sources that covered all the grounds of the topic, but don't necessarily all say the same thing. And I think that during this process, peer editing probably pushed me out of my comfort zone a lot. I like to peer edit with people I feel comfortable with, and also in an environment where I don't have a set quota of what I need to be saying on people's paper. I can't help them with grammar, but I can say oh, this needs to be changed. So it was just difficult, and it's funny because I really enjoy peer reviewing other people's papers, but I don't like getting critiqued myself, especially because the part where I'm talking about Black women's anger, and that has a lot of personal things in it that apply to me, and so it was just difficult seeing people's critiques, especially at this school where I feel people already have a preconceived notion of my intelligence levels. But anyways, I feel confident that the paper was well written and it covers all aspects of Black women's anger, and I hope that other people will also find it enjoyable. Before peer editing, I was pretty confident that it was an interesting paper, but my peer editor said that it was kind of boring, so I hope that with the changes I made, the importance of the topic that I'm trying to talk about shines through.